Hello everybody and welcome to a very special edition of the Last Word on Tennis podcast. I've been on site at ITF Sunderland this week, and this week's pod is all about life on the ITF Tour. ITF Sunderland obviously just one small tournament in that massive tour, which has been going since the 1970s. And these days, that's where the vast majority of professional tennis players actually play their tennis. If you think about the tennis tour as a pyramid, I'm sure most of you know this already, but I will kind of just recap what the ITF Tour kind of looks like at the moment. On the men's side, you've got the ATP Tour, which is obviously for the elite tennis players. And then underneath that, on the male side, you've got the Challenger Tour, which tends to attract the kind of mid-ranking players. And then below that, you've got the ITF Tour, which is free for anyone to enter. And then if you start winning matches on there, you win your ranking points and you can move up the pyramid. On the women's side, it's slightly different as there's no Challenger Tour, but there is the WTA Tour, then the WTA 125k series, which is kind of their equivalent of the Challenger Tour. And then again, you've got the ITF tournaments, which are tiered by prize money. So you can have an ITF event which has got a prize money fund of $100,000, some at $60,000. And then you've got your 25,000s and your 15,000s as well. And 25 and 15s are across both men's and women's. Recently, the ITF Tour went through a change where they put in a transition tour, which was to help the juniors graduating from the ITF juniors into a senior, because it was felt like the pathway wasn't quite good enough. And that's something that we come across in the interviews that I've been able to do whilst I've been at Sunderland this week. So I will be joined by two players, both from GB. That's just the way it kind of worked out in terms of who'd completed their matches already. So we've got Mark Whitehouse, who is a 26-year-old from England, and he will be talking to us first. And then we're going to hear from Richard Joyner, who's the tournament director of ITF Sunderland and works for the LTA, so is quite an experienced tournament director. He also directed the ITF Barnstable tournament, which took place a couple of weeks before. And then we'll hear from Sam Sharan, who is a very experienced player, has won ITF events over the course of 10 years in singles and doubles, and a very informative chat with her about what's kind of changed over the course of time. The ITF as a governing body has been around since, well, over a century now, 106 years they've been going, although they only really took charge of kind of development of tennis at the lower levels, starting with juniors in 1977, and then although they had kind of control of men's and women's tennis at the lower level, they didn't really start implementing tournaments and stuff till 1990. And even then, they were quite unwieldy and not very well governed. It's taken till quite modern, really, for everything to be structured in a way that kind of makes sense. And even then, some people say that the ITF Tour isn't really doing its job in preparing people for life in tennis and supporting the athletes that are down at that level. And that's something that certainly comes up in the chat and is something that concerns a lot of people at that lower level of the game. So I hope you find these interviews enlightening and interesting, and something a little bit different from the norm. We did have to record in a area of the National Tennis Centre in Sunderland, which was quite busy. It was a cafe with a bit of a soft play area in there. Although it wasn't busy, you can hear a lot of people making tea and coffee in the cafe. So apologies for the background noise, but I think the audio is quite clear. So enjoy, first of all, Mark Whitehouse, who came to talk to us after his victory in the morning. Mark Whitehouse, who's a professional tennis player from the UK. We're going to speak to him about the ITF Tour, kind of his experience playing on the ITF Tour and how he came to be a professional tennis player and whether he still enjoys the game, most importantly. So, hello, hi Mark.
Hiya, thanks for having me.
No problem. As you said before we started recording here, if your answers are rubbish, we can go and get somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no pressure on you there. So, firstly, just introduce yourself to the audience. Who you are, where you came from, not your family history, but your tennis history, as it were.
Yeah, my name is Mark. I'm 26. I have been playing on the ITF Tour for about 3 to 4 years now since I finished university, and I am based just south of London.
And did you play tennis at uni? Is that?
Yeah.
Which university did you go to?
Imperial College.
Oh, right.
Shout out.
Shout out. All the people come from Imperial College there, graduates. Yeah. I went to university in Sunderland, actually. I played tennis here for the tennis club at Sunderland. Cool. So, yeah, it's quite close to my heart being here. I should say we're actually in the National Tennis Centre at Sunderland at the biggest tournament of the year, they like to call it around here. So did you play much on the junior ITF Tour? Or?
Not much, no. I did a couple, but I mainly played domestic events in England and relatively close to where I live, because obviously my parents didn't want to drive me up and down the country every weekend.
Shout out to mum and dad there. Yeah. And so in terms of your transition into playing kind of the ITF senior tour stuff, how did you find that, since you didn't really do much of the juniors?
Yeah, it's tough. Because I didn't play a lot of junior events, I just wasn't one of the top juniors in general. I did a lot of learning, which means I lost quite a lot. But I played good players in qualifying and tried my best to work my way up. And
so, what goes into planning what you're going to do in tennis? Do you look at that at the start of the year in the off season and plan it out for the whole season, or do you just kind of take it as it comes?
I think each player has a different approach. I am more fluid with where I'm going to go, so I will probably take a look at all kinds of factors when I'm entering the tournaments, be it flight costs or accommodation costs, what other players are playing, like if I can stay with other people, so then accommodation will be cheaper, or what surface it's on, what the temperature and wind will be, all of the above, and if I like the place or want to visit somewhere new or something like that.
Okay, right. Yeah. So you even look at do you look at the local area that you're going to be staying in and things like that when you go to...
Sometimes, yes, and also because getting to a country might be different to getting to the tournament, which could be multiple hours bus or train ride outside the main airport, so it's not always as easy as you think it's going to be sometimes.
So you yourself have played Barnstaple and then Glasgow and then here in Sunderland.
Yeah.
Made the quarterfinals. You just made it. We should say Mark won this morning before he went into this interview. He had a really good straight sets win, so put him into the quarterfinals of this event and went back to back quarterfinals in Barnstaple and Glasgow as well, which must help your ranking somewhat.
Yeah, I think it's probably, I should know but I don't, probably 80 to 100 places it's going to move up. Okay. So heading in the right direction, and I'm just pleased with, I've been playing good matches against good players mainly, and hopefully the ranking will reflect that at some point. Yeah,
Eduardo Struve was your opponent this morning. He's ranked in the 300s, I think. So, very good win this morning.
Thank you.
I'll just I forgot what I'm asking the next question. Oh yeah, so you're talking about your ranking moving up there. What are your kind of aspirations for your work in tennis? You said you're in your mid-20s now.
Yeah.
And most people would regard that as kind of the peak of where I presume you don't think you're at that peak yet, and you want to keep.
It's a good question. My main goal for my tennis career was I wanted to play Wimbledon qualifying, because I'm British, so obviously Wimbledon is a big deal for us, and I was actually fortunate enough to get through pre-qualies and play it last summer, so that was a really big tick for me, and obviously hoping I can have a similar run this summer, but it's an incredibly tough event to get through or to get there in general, so lots of hard work.
No aspirations of the main draw then? You said you're qualifying now, so surely that's the next...
it would be nice, but obviously it only gets harder, so I'm going to take it one match at a time.
Oh, what a professional answer, I tell you what. Sitting here with the tournament director Richard as well, he's found me a good person here to interview. So do you find there's a real camaraderie between the people on the ITF Tour?
Yes, but I'm not... So I know that you also cover the ATP and Challenger Tour, and I suspect it might be different because the ITF covers a larger range of rankings, so then at any tournament there might be a bigger shift in what players are there, or I know quite a lot from Europe, but I've played a few times in Asia and the States, and so I know less of them, but to a certain extent, yes, there are lots of good guys that I've met playing the tour, and you just get to meet different people and different players.
It certainly feels like it being here is kind of, it's the second year that I've been to this tournament, and obviously it comes off the back of Barnstable and Glasgow, and a lot of people have travelled to all three or at least one of the two.
Yeah.
So it seems like a lot of players do kind of congregate together and kind of have a laugh and a joke, and you've got a lot of downtime, really, don't you?
You do, yes. And especially, like you say, when there's a run of tournaments, you'll see the same people, practice with them, have dinner with them.
Yeah. Can I just ask where you have dinner in Sunderland? Do you hang out in Sunderland? I spent 4 years here as a student, and I know that it possibly isn't the greatest.
So I've been staying in an Airbnb this week with 3 other players. I've cooked most nights, but one night I ate out at Roma.
Oh yes, I've been to Roma.
Is that one of the good options?
Actually, yeah. It was one. By the time I got to my 3rd year, 4th year, I went to Roma quite a few times. Oh, interesting. I'm sure no one else will be interested in this other than me.
Yeah,
again.
but
the podcast systems are switching off as we speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, Roma, excellent. Right, so you kind of done all that stuff. Where are you kind of heading to next? You've played these 3 events. Have you got one part kind of lined up next week? How far in advance do you know your schedule now?
Usually at least 2 weeks in advance, because that's when you have to enter and withdraw by. I'm going to have a week off / training block for the next few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and then we'll be going somewhere but don't know where yet.
Right, okay. So that's fine. And I have kind of 2 final questions for you. Have you enjoyed playing this GB series, and what's been the kind of the highlights of your time the last 3 weeks?
I have enjoyed it. It's
bearing in mind the tournament director is sitting right next to you.
Yeah, he's run an excellent tournament. No, it's always good to play at home. It's just nice. It's just nice being in your home country, because obviously we're away a lot of the time. So you know what you're going to get and used to the conditions. I mean, indoor hard doesn't change that much from place to place.
Yeah, I don't think you enjoy playing in conditions outside.
Not in this country right now, no. It is freezing.
Yeah.
But no, I've enjoyed it a lot. Particular highlight is a tough question. Probably just getting to see my friends and fellow players, and especially 2 of the 3 events have been combined with women's.
Yes.
So there's just more players around and people you don't get to see very often.
Do you enjoy that as a different aspect to this? Because sometimes you just play in events where it's just the men. Yeah,
it's nice for a change, but also not every venue has enough courts or the finances to support a combined tournament. So that's why it's not very common.
Yeah, just going back to I just realised I wanted one more question. In terms of the countries that you played in, what other countries other than the UK do you enjoy playing in?
A lot of them, actually, for different reasons. I like the States because I don't know why, I just do. They're very super friendly, and often you get housing, so then you get to meet and stay with a family, so that's nice. I like Asia a lot because it's just different. I haven't been there much, but a few times, and it's
it really is a worldwide tour, isn't it? They have tournaments on every continent. Have you ever played in Africa? Or
I have in Egypt and Tunisia.
Yeah.
They're good as well, but a bit warmer than it is here.
Yeah, a bit warmer than Sunderland in February.
Yeah, just a bit. And Europe's great because it's easy and yeah.
Do you find that you choose those countries for the ease of the cost of the travel, or is it just purely based on the services and things like that?
It's really a mixture of everything. Surface, cost to get there, conditions.
Loads of things go into it.
Yeah.
And my final question then, I've followed the ITF tennis kind of circuit for probably about 6 years or so now, as soon as my job started entailing it, really. And I've always wondered, and no one's ever been able to give me a straight answer on this, so you're the first person that I've asked.
No pressure then.
No pressure, but I watch these players play doubles, and then how can they combine the doubles? So Freya Christie and Julie, which has it, is a doubles team that they play quite a lot together. Do they maybe combine their tours? But how did doubles partnerships come about on the ITF Tour?
So there are some players who are focusing mainly on doubles, and they will probably arrange their partner and decide to play someone together.
Yeah.
But I would suggest I would think that on the ITF Tour, because lots of people are playing singles, it's quite often based on who's entered in the singles list, and then you take a look to see if there's who you know, if there's someone you've played with before or you want to play with, you send them a message. And
so quite often it's just you turn up at the tournament and you see your mate there who's not on that part of the doubles partner and just go...
not